Hi friends, my name is Ronald Ashish. Today's session is Introduction to Windows Server 2012, and also we'll see the features and the editions of Windows Server 2012. Windows Server 2012 R2. R2 is release 2. Windows Server 2012 is an operating system built by Microsoft and is the successor of Windows Server 2008 R2. Earlier, Windows Server 2008 was there, 8 R2 also there. 8 R2 is release 2. Release 2 comes with only 64-bit. Whereas Windows Server 2008 comes with 32-bit and 64-bit both, but R2 only 64-bit. Having a lot of features are there, and also Hyper-V features also coming from 2008 server. Windows Server 2012 is the server edition of Windows 8 and is available since September 2012. It is minor update is 2012 R2 server R2, which is available again from 2013 October. So release 2 comes with only 64-bit. 2012 server edition you can get only 64-bit only. Here you can install using graphical user interface, and also it supports server core installation. Server core installation where you can see only few roles and features. You cannot completely administer Windows Server actually. You cannot install Active Directory service. Of course, you can have, suppose if you say you want to control the load. If load is too much, then you can go for 2008 R2, which GUI. If your load is less, then you can prefer to go with server core edition, which is again safe. Alright, so let's see the editions now. Windows Server 2012 R2 comes with 4 editions. One is Foundation, Essential, Standard, and Data Center. So these are the 4 editions comes with Windows Server 2012 R2. So every edition having a different functionality again. So I'll be just giving the comparison between Foundation, Essential, Standard, and Data Center. So you can use. When it comes to Foundation edition, ideal for the cost efficient all round server. The cost is a cost efficient actually. You can budget a low amount for this. And high level feature comparison. Essential server functionality without virtualization rights. You cannot have Hyper-V over here. You cannot use virtual machines in Foundation server. And coming to license model, it is limited only for 15 users. If you plan for Foundation edition, that means you can use only 15 users. It is also limited for RAM, that is 32 GB. That's the max you can use RAM for Windows Foundation server. You can use cost efficient. Yes, of course, you can go for less amount of cost is less amount, plus there is no functionality of virtualization. And coming to Essential edition, environments in small companies, small organizations, say for example there are some 20 systems, 50 systems are there, so this is well and good for that. Essential server functionality without, again here also remember no virtualization. It is limited for 25 users, so you can create 25 users here, 25 employees can operate this server. The RAM is, compared to Foundation, RAM is good. It is double than that the Foundation. It supports 64 GB RAM. Imagine 64 GB RAM you can have. That too in server system, not desktop PCs. Of course, desktop will not support beyond 32 GB RAM. You have to have a server like Dell server, Rack server, IBM server, Tower server, where you can have 64 GB or even more than that also you can have the RAM. The advantage here is small company, users are coming 25 users. Again, disadvantage, no virtualization. You cannot create virtual machines. You cannot create virtual hard disk. You cannot have virtual CPUs. So this will not support. Next, standard edition is there. Non-virtualized or lightly virtualized environments. Lightly in the sense you can have at least two or four virtual machines you can create. You can have virtual machine. When it supports virtual machine, you need to have a license for processor here now. Is it 8 core processor, 16 core processor? How many physical processor connected? Each processor supports how many cores? So you have to use the license based on the processor. That's what the CAL here. Client access license comes with the processor based. The RAM is, we can see the difference now. Essential to standard. It is not double, it is more than double, it's triple, or you can say it is 4 times than the essential, or more than 4 times actually. It supports 4 TB RAM. Just imagine if a server having a 4 TB RAM, how much fast the system will work. The processor also, Xeon processor, 16 core processor, we're having 2 slots, 2 socket processor there. 2 processors, you can go up to 64 processors you can connect. But here limited for virtual machines. The next one is data center edition. Data center is, data center, the name itself indicates you have to have a database server where you can keep the data. Highly virtualized private cloud environments. This data center is advisable to use for cloud infrastructure, and all features will support here. You can install all the roles, all the features, example DNS, DHCP, web server, ADS, Exchange server, SCCM, SQL server, any features you can install on top of data center. Unlimited virtual machines instance. So there is no limit for this. Again, the processor comes with again license based with like how many core processor it is. 8 core processor, 16 core processor. Based on that you have to purchase. And the memory again, 4 TB RAM you can have for this. So of course you need to have 4 in RAM in TBs, 1 TB, 2 TB, 4 TB, because it is a data center server. Data center edition is there, so where you can implement all the features. So these are the differences between foundation, essential, standard, and data center. So my advice is for you to just go with data center edition, because normally we'll be practicing for DNS, DHCP, ADS, Exchange server in real time. Also they'll prefer for data center. If you are planning for non-virtualized, then go for standard edition. But these days everybody is thinking about the cloud, then think about data center. And cost is less and it is very small. A minimum you're having like 5 systems, 10 systems, then go for essential edition, because small company. All right. So next you can minimal system requirement for Windows Server 2012 R2. The minimum requirements. So as I said, 2012 comes with 64-bit only. That means you should have a 64-bit processor also. The architecture of system should be 64-bit. But these days you can find all are coming with 64-bit. The clock speed, CPU clock speed also 1.4 or more than that gigahertz. RAM is 512 MB. It is just only for installation. After installing, you cannot work if you have 512 MB RAM. Go with minimum of 4 GB, 2 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM. The moment you start installing applications, installing features and rules, the system start working slow. It is slowed down immediately. For that reason, go with 2 GB to 4 GB minimum. If you have a laptop, just go with 4 GB. It is again coming with, if you have virtualization enabled, if you have good configuration like 16 GB RAM is there, and your plan, what is your plan? What is your plan in implementation for a future purpose? Are you going to practice ADS, DNS, DSCP, Exchange Server? Then give minimum of 4 GB RAM. And disk capacity, again minimum, again 32 GB. Again depends upon the installations, features, configurations. Based on that, you have to configure the storage. Alright, now the time for quiz. So what we discussed last in couple of like 10 minutes. So the first question is, how many editions are there in Windows Server 2012? Question number 2, which edition of Windows Server 2012 does support 32 GB RAM? Which edition of Windows Server supports virtualization, fully virtualization, where you can have unlimited processors, unlimited virtual machines? Which edition? And the last one is, which edition of Windows Server 2012 does support 25 users license? Make sure that you have the answers for this. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to install Windows Server 2012 operating system using virtual machines. Thanks for watching.